Good to have you back. This is Environmental Intelligence, episode 41. It's June 3rd, 2026. Here's what changed overnight in the environmental regulatory landscape. DFO endorses relocation of Marineland belugas to Spain and U.S. facilities under federal marine mammal oversight. Federal endorsement of the Marineland beluga transfer plan sets relocation logistics across international boundaries. Alberta municipalities advance multi-year water loss reduction investments, while BC energy operators adjust generation sources. Practitioners should monitor DFO implementation guidance and provincial infrastructure funding announcements this week. If you only note one thing today for your compliance calendar, federal DFO endorsement of the Marineland Rescue Plan carries no fixed effective date, but requires immediate review of any client portfolios holding captive marine mammals. Track DFO transfer timeline announcements expected within 60 days, particularly for consultants handling Species at Risk Act files. Fisheries and Oceans Canada has endorsed a rescue plan splitting Marineland's remaining belugas between oceanographic in Valencia in Spain and 4 U.S. locations. The plan replaces previous domestic relocation attempts that stalled under federal permitting constraints. Consultants managing Species at Risk Act and marine mammal protection files should assess whether client operations intersect with similar transfer or holding permits. The endorsement triggers coordination requirements between Canadian federal authorities and foreign facilities that may affect documentation standards for health and transport. Next steps include DFO release of detailed transfer protocols and any associated Fisheries Act authorizations. Watch for updates on compliance timelines once the first cohort movements are scheduled. DFO endorsement authorizes international transfer of all remaining belugas under Federal Marine Mammal Authority. This creates new permitting pathways for similar facilities and requires updated compliance documentation for transport and holding conditions. No specific deadline is provided, so monitor DFO for implementation guidance. City officials in Calgary seek $342 million over 4 years to reduce leakage from 20 to 24%, down to 15% by 2030. The program targets municipal water infrastructure compliance and supply security under Alberta regulatory expectations. Immediate review of capital planning for affected utilities is recommended. BC Hydro is returning to natural gas to address electricity supply shortfalls. The move occurs under existing provincial energy and emissions frameworks and may trigger updated reporting under federal-provincial climate agreements. No qualifying peer-reviewed or government technical reports with direct Canadian regulatory application appeared in today's feed. Contractors begin work to ready the BC terminal site for potential LNG Canada expansion. The activity falls under existing federal and provincial project approvals and may require supplemental environmental monitoring updates. Historic drought and rising costs reduced 2025 farm income sharply across Prince Edward Island. The data may inform future provincial drought response programs and agricultural environmental management planning. Now, speaking of municipal water systems, you arrive at a mid-sized Alberta municipality where annual water audits show 22% unaccounted losses, mostly from aging distribution mains installed in the 1970s. The engineering team proposes a phased replacement program, but has not yet integrated leakage component analysis required under provincial water utility guidelines. Field crews often assume all losses are physical leakage when pressure management data and night flow measurements frequently reveal a significant apparent loss fraction from metering inaccuracies. Experienced practitioners cross-reference district metered area results against historical consumption patterns before finalizing capital budgets, because overestimating physical leakage leads to unnecessary pipe replacement costs that regulators later question during rate reviews. The most common mistake is treating the 15% target as a simple engineering metric, rather than a compliance threshold tied to source water protection and drought resilience planning. The fix is to embed the target in the utility's environmental management system with annual third-party verification of both real and apparent loss calculations. If you're working on Marine Mammal or Species at Risk Act files, review DFO transfer protocols once released. Update water infrastructure project templates to incorporate leakage reduction targets for Alberta municipal clients. Brief BC Energy clients on potential natural gas generation reporting adjustments under existing climate frameworks. Monitor PEI drought response programs for implications on agricultural environmental compliance. Mark your calendar for DFO announcements on Marineland beluga transfer sequencing at the federal level, which remains ongoing. Review Alberta municipal infrastructure funding applications due in coming weeks. Monitor BC Hydro updates on natural gas generation integration timelines in British Columbia. Tomorrow, watch for further DFO guidance on the sequencing of the first beluga cohort movements. That's environmental intelligence for today. If this briefing is useful to your practice, share it with a colleague and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow. Have a productive day, and before you go, this show is part of the NARA Network, a family of daily podcasts covering tech, science, markets, and more. If you enjoyed today's episode, give Modern Investing Techniques a listen. Modern strategies for Canadian and U.S. investors. You can explore the whole lineup at naranetwork.com. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.